Let's hear a little bit from Greyson.
Hello everyone, my name is Greyson, Kenney. I'm a 24-year-old trans man, and I stand here tonight because of safe homes. I mean that in every way. I would like to take a few moments of your time to share my story. A story that would have ended already had this program not been there. When I was 19 years old, I moved in with my girlfriend of 2 years and her family. We were planning to save up after we graduated high school and get our own place together, start our lives, build a family. You know, normal hopes and dreams for any teenager. Then, in April of 2024, I held my breath, and I didn't breathe again. My girlfriend's father, and the primary breadwinner of her family, was suddenly diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. The rent fell behind, and my girlfriend and I had no idea. By June, he had passed away, and we were all getting evicted. With nowhere to go, we all separated. Her mother staying in a spare room in someone else's home, her brother on a friend's couch. I refused to leave my girlfriend's side. What about the family and the life we were just about to start? So that meant it was me, her, and the kitten we got 4 months prior were going to a motel room. The most I could afford with my minimum wage job was in Connecticut. 1 hour for my job for a week. I mean, this had to only be a week, right? I remember thinking at the time this would be the hardest week, and as long as we were brave, we would get through it together. We stayed awake at night, watching strangers walk by the window outside our room and listen to people scream in the parking lot. The constant fear and uncertainty of the situation and our safety weighed on us. A week passed and we survived, but we were still homeless. A word I never thought I would use to describe myself. Once again, packing everything we owned into my tiny, barely running $500 car and on to the next motel. My girlfriend's mom, that was a week. That meant 1 week to try and save money, try to get food since we had barely eaten, and still manage to get cat food and litter. We barely made that work. Next week, it'll be my turn to pay for the room and necessities. I remember finding Christmas lights from our old bedroom and strung them up in the motel room for it to finally feel like home, but then leaving them on at night when we realized they kept the pests away. I don't like Christmas lights anymore. Before we knew it, this was our life. Anything that felt like youth and security was gone. Work, apply for apartment applications, get denied because you're 22 with no credit and make minimum wage, sleep, repeat. I tried every application for state and federal support that I could, between income-based housing, homeless shelters, food pantries, everything. See, everyone tells you that these programs exist to help you, and while that is true, they don't mention how time-consuming the applications are and the length of the wait list. When you have no money, your time is the most valuable thing that you have. Every second that isn't dedicated to getting yourself out of that situation is a second wasted. I was so ashamed and embarrassed. While the kids I graduated with were in college and going to parties, here I was, looking up at rock bottom from the subfloor. My girlfriend eventually mentioned Safe Homes, a program she would stop by after school when she was younger. She said they may be able to help us. I couldn't even tell myself we were homeless. How was I supposed to ask for help? That night I stayed awake hungry, watching her sleep next to that cat, knowing they were both hungry too. I had to wear Ziplocs over my sneakers in the rain just to make it through work. I knew we couldn't do this alone anymore. I sent an email to Oscar, briefly explaining a small sliver of what life had become, and he put me in touch with Nicole. When I met her, she smiled, and everything about her demeanor told me this might just be okay. I left that day with a car full of resources, an Amazon order for new sneakers, and most importantly, a sense of stability, dignity, and feeling like someone believed in me when all the odds were against us. The fight in me was fading, but I got that spark back, and now I knew where to start fighting again. 3 months of Safe Home's continued support, offering us washers and dryers for our clothes, and us managing to pay for the motel with the limited money my girlfriend's mom had. Finally, we were able to move into a spare bedroom in an apartment with 6 other roommates. This might actually be a step in the right direction. They only wanted $600 a month, whereas the motel was $750 a week out of the $1,000 a month I took home after taxes. We were told this had to be temporary, but I was grateful for even a night outside of that motel room. I didn't realize at the time what I would save in money I would make up for in my health. I was so excited about being able to make our first meal in 3 months outside of the microwave. As a thank you for letting us stay, we cleaned the entire house, but then found it was barely habitable, if that. Within a week of us being there, we realized every move we made was a risk, every moment walking on eggshells in a hostile environment, constantly sick, constantly cleaning, vet bills getting sent to collections because now the cat is getting ill as well, and just constantly trying to keep the peace, knowing one wrong move and we're back at square one. There were so many times I wondered if that would have been better than what we were living in. Safe Homes once again showed us another beacon of light, Al. Al told me if we were to get approved for an apartment, Safe Homes would be able to fund first, last, and security. I knew there was a chance to get out of this. I just needed to use all the time and fight I had left to get there. But this time, it felt so much more achievable, knowing that now there's 3 people in our corner, at a point where it felt like the world was rooting against us. Oscar, Nicole, and Al were there, and they truly cared. Exactly 1 year from that first night in the motel, we got accepted into our own apartment. Safe Homes kept their promise, and we moved in immediately. There are not enough words to describe the gratitude that day. So where are we now? It's been 8 months since Safe Homes helped us. Living in that home we built up together. I got a promotion, transferred jobs, got a raise 6 months later, and now I'm working towards another promotion. I'm starting to expand my hobby as a musician, the dream I thought I had to abandon at only 22 years old. I'm beginning to mentor others in any way I can. Safe Homes did not give us a handout, they gave us a hand up. You see, Safe Homes understands something that many others can't fully see. For many LGBTQ youth, like myself, family support is not always guaranteed. And when that safety net is gone, whether it be financial or emotional, the path to adulthood becomes so much steeper, lonelier, and difficult to navigate, especially when you add grief and trauma into the mix. Safe Homes filled that gap, and they filled it instantly, whereas I am still at the bottom of every waitlist I made the cut to be on. In June of 2024, I stopped breathing, but in June of 2025, I was able to start again. When you choose to give, you are not just signing a check, you are changing a trajectory. You are turning fear into stability. You are turning, I have no idea how I'm supposed to do this, into I've got this. The investment you make into Safe Homes does not disappear here. It multiplies. It creates independent adults who work, contribute, pay taxes, volunteer, mentor others, and one day become the steady hand for someone who needs that same lift. I am standing here today as proof on that return on your investment. Because of you, young people like me don't survive rejection or hardship. We move forward. We build careers. We build homes. We build lives rooted in dignity and self-worth. Your generosity is not charity. It is a partnership. It is the difference between another person falling through the cracks and someone confidently beginning their life. And I promise you this, what you give tonight will echo far beyond this room. Thank you for believing in us, and thank you for believing in me.